God exists. I think it's time to move on to a moral argument. My moral argument is very clear, and it's this. It's not mine. It's been around for hundreds of years. That all cultures around the world understand right from wrong, good from evil. In no culture is it a virtue to lie, steal, and cheat, or steep, whatever that is. So, you know, how come? Why is this? Is naturalistic explanations to account for why we all innately know right from wrong? Well, no, it's not at all. And here's the philosophical argument. All laws have a lawgiver. There is moral law, conscience, natural law, whatever you want to call it. Therefore, there is a lawgiver. This is an old philosophical argument, but it is so important because if you don't get this, then you open up the door for relativism. And relativism has destroyed more lives than anything else I can think of in history. Here's why. If truth is subjective, and it is determined by the individual rather than by an absolute standard, this cosmic dictator, as atheists call it, then what do we have? We have this. Again, I am not attacking atheists in this room. I want to clear that up just so you understand me. I have many atheist friends. I would include John to be one of those who I see as fine, moral people, and probably a lot better than many of the churchgoers at my church. But let me tell you this. A church isn't a museum for the saints, it's a hospital for the sick. And, you know, I told myself, if I ever find the perfect church, I don't need to go there because I'll mess it up. Anyways, all right, so let me just get this out here. But let me say this. This is the implications of the atheistic ideas of taking away the sanctity of life, that you are the determinant of what's right and wrong. Truth is relative and subjective. You got Hitler, Stalin, Mao, and Marx. All these men have something in common. They all had great mustaches. Not kidding. They all believed that there was no God watching what they were doing. Okay. Now listen. No, he wasn't. Hail Hitler. We'll deal with this in the Q&A session. But Hail Hitler, he rose himself to be the supreme God. Now, and he was, anyways. So yeah, what we got there is we got these guys and they're accountable to no God, and in addition to that, they thought that they were doing morally right because they determined that truth was relative. You understand that? So, if they think that they're doing morally right because they have determined what's right, but yet we say it's wrong, who's to say what's right? Think about September 11th. Who's to say that was right? Was it the moral act by Al-Qaeda flying into our Twin Towers? We as the recipients certainly feel like that was a moral act. We thought it was the face of evil and tyranny. So who's right? Both the atheists, you'll have your chance during the Q&A session.
Everybody, please be quiet and let us have his say.
Now, the point here is this, is that truth is not relative, it's absolute. Both the atheist and the Christian shares a fundamental uniting factor, and that's we want to rid the world of mythology. We want truth. We want some sort of evidence that we can stand on and a reason for our beliefs. And I think this is why there's such a healthy dialogue tonight. So we both come at this from the same approach. And I'm telling you, at the end, truth is not relative, it is not subjective, it is absolute. Now, let's take it from the moral argument to the historical evidence for the resurrection. This is how we get from Creator to Christ. How? If Christ really did rise from the dead, then it validates what he had to say, mainly that he himself was God. And that's why he got hung on the cross. Now remember, I put my Bible down today. So I'm talking to you from a historical perspective. And if you dismiss the validity of the history, I would again suggest it's probably presuppositions that are holding you back from where the evidence is leading, than rather the history itself. First and foremost, we have non-biblical historical accounts. Tacitus is one of them. There's many others I can name. There are Greco-Roman scholars, Jewish scholars, that all record that one, there was a historical Jesus Christ, that two, there was knowledge of his public trial, crucifixion, and thirdly, that there was a widespread following within the very city that these events took place that believed he in fact rose from the dead. Now, the Jewish and the Roman authorities within this city, the Romans were in charge of the city at this point. The Jews were certainly concerned because it was really causing quite a turmoil and upstir within their community. They offered no proof, much like the atheists has offered no proof tonight. They only attacked and attacked. You stole the body. They're causing turmoil. Christ claimed to be the king. Kill him. They never offered proof. Where's the body? Where's Christ? It's a conspiracy theory. Last but not least, the church. The church, as we know it today, started in the very city where these events took place, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. It started within the first century, so it easily could have been squelched by any sort of eyewitness account or testimony saying, he didn't really rise from the dead, you're crazy, why would you believe that? The religious service changed from Saturday to Sunday. That's just unfathomable. It's been raised up that this is the holy day, and all of a sudden you move to Sunday. Why would you do that? Unless, in fact, Christ rose from the dead. And thirdly, the sacraments of the church. Baptism and communion, they absolutely center around the concept of a risen Christ. And the church, from day one, has embraced these things to be the very foundational, uniting elements of all of Christendom. Now, this is not to prove anything, but to give you a quote from Scripture from the Apostle Paul himself. If Christ did not raise from the dead, then Christians of all people are to be pitied the most. The hinge of Christianity is the resurrection, and it stands historically. And it validates that Christ, who claimed to be God, was in fact that. Thank you.
For the final segment, there'll be 5 minutes each for the rebuttal to the rebuttal. So
Okay.
Go ahead, Bob.
Just again, go down the laundry list. First of all, they talked about abortion and the sanctity of life. You remember when we were talking about the time that Moses killed all the women and children, the non-virgin women and all the children? I'd like to point out, from an abortion point of view, that he killed the non-virgin women and did not kill the virgin women. He killed the women who could be pregnant and did not kill the women who could not be pregnant. So when you're talking about the whole abortion thing, you have to look at the scriptures as what happened in the Old Testament to where all these people were wiped out. An awful lot of pregnant women were killed. Why is God afraid of embryos and fetuses? Why did God want these people wiped out? Drake also mentioned martyrs. Let's talk a little bit about martyrs in the Bible. The martyrs in the Bible were Stephen, John the Baptist, Jesus, obviously, perhaps Abel, Cain's brother. There was several people who helped King David, and King Saul wiped them out. Maybe you could think they were martyrs. But there really is a very relatively small number of people who were Jehovah worshipers, Jesus worshipers in the Bible, who were martyred for their faith. But you have very large numbers of Canaanites, and Amalekites, and Midianites, and Geshurites, and Gerizzites, and others that were killed at God's command. Primarily, it said, because of their religious beliefs, so that they would not corrupt the Jewish religion. So if spiritual truth is determined by body count of martyrs, the Christians lose by a very large margin according to their own book, because vast majority of people that were killed in the Bible because of their religious beliefs were killed because they were non-Jehovah Jesus worshipers. They were not Jehovah Jesus worshipers. There is a misstatement of fact. Hitler was very, very involved in using religion. I've got a book called Hitler's Pope. He was very involved with using the Catholic Church. One of the big reasons why Jews were able to be rounded up and so forth is the Christians wanted them rounded up. They wanted them taken out of society because there was a lot of anti-Semitic prejudice, which of course we had here in the United States also, although not to as big a degree. The people that Christians hated in the United States were black people. When I was born, black people could not vote. They could not go to school the same place I went to school. They could not ride in front of a bus. They couldn't go to white churches except as cooks and janitors. Where was the white church during all this? They were supporting this 100% and had ever since the Civil War. In fact, the reasons why we had Southern Methodists, Southern Presbyterians, and Southern Baptists is because they broke off from the main denominations over the slavery issue. The Southern Baptist Convention broke off in 1845. Did not apologize for slavery until 1995. As far as moral relativism, we